Our main story this morning. A mum from Norfolk is going to be joining us live in the studio later on to tell us what's happened to her. And she's claiming she was lied to about the full risks of taking a drug to control her epilepsy during her 4 pregnancies. 46-year-old Julie Marjot from Wyndham had been on a powerful drug called sodium valproate from a young age to control her epilepsy. Julie and her husband were advised 22 years ago that the risk of side effects from the drug on their children would be low if they had them, and they went on to have 4 children. 3 of them have suffered from a range of physical and mental health problems. It was only after the birth of their youngest child, 7 years ago now, that Julie was told her children had a known condition called sodium valproate syndrome, caused by the drug of the same name she'd been taking. Julie has been speaking to the BBC's Sophie Hutchinson.
I desperately wanted children. We got married at 19, and at the age of 24, we both said, yeah, this is the right time. So we said it's really important to go to the hospital to see a specialist to find out if everything's okay with the medication and also given a normal delivery. And the only advice we were given was basically that the medication was fine, and there were only 2 conditions, which were cleft palate and Down syndrome. Cleft palate could be repaired by surgery, and Down syndrome they would do tests for. They seemed to think it was a nominal risk. He said, well, you could try a different drug if you're not happy with that. He said it's not a high risk. So we turned around and we said, well, actually, okay, we'll stick with what I'm on, which would be better, obviously, if I did fall pregnant. We weren't given a big list of, side effects. He literally said, no, that's fine, see you later.
So what do you think about the advice you got now?
I think it's horrendous. I think it's irresponsible. And the most sad thing is that young ladies out there still today aren't being given the warnings that should be given. They're only just put the warnings on the packaging, and I think it's just, more than anything, it's a little too late.
And you've got 4 children.
Yeah.
At what point did you hear the possibility about this being harmful?
When it was too late. We have got 4 children, and it was after the 4th child, when she was about probably 7 months. Unfortunately, Faye was born with lots of different problems, but one of which was a cleft palate, which at that time I was like, oh, well, we were warned of cleft palate, and they said, don't worry about it because there's surgery. And we were very lucky. The surgeon that did it was fantastic. And really I owe him, because he was the gentleman that turned around and said to us, oh, she's got sodium valproate syndrome. And of course, the penny dropped. I was then, great. I know what that means. That's my medication. So what is sodium valproate syndrome? I think the problem is, I don't know if people realise what sodium valproate syndrome is. I think that's the tip of an iceberg. That's something you'll see and hear about at the top. Underneath are all the extra things. So you've got problems with eyes, hearing. This is just my children. They had holes in the heart. They had problems with, my daughter's got something called bilateral thumbs, which is smaller thumbs slightly in the wrong places. Hypermobility, autism, epilepsy. It's just the list of my children is endless. And I know that's just a small part on the list of the side effects. Why wasn't I told? Why should I have had to go through, and suffer? Because it's not just me, it's my children, and what they're going to have to suffer, forever, really. We were never given the choice, the educated choice of, if we knew, would we have had 4 children? I love my children, I would never change them for anything, but we don't think we would have had, I know we wouldn't have done, because I don't want to put my children through the suffering that they've had to go. How many children have to go to the hospital on such an occasion for so many times? And it doesn't just affect them, it affects their siblings.
So you feel a real sense of injustice?
I do, yeah, and it's so sad because it's not just my family. There are thousands of people out there, probably more, and and the healthcare people aren't telling these young ladies that that are taking the medication for epilepsy, bipolar, and migraines. Why is it not being filtered down? Why are they not being told?
That's Julie Marjot, who's from Wyndham. We'll hear more from her later on, her story and about the campaign for a public inquiry into the use of the drug sodium valproate. It is estimated that 20,000 children have been left with physical and mental disabilities in the UK after being exposed to it in the womb. Next week, they'll give evidence to the European-wide safety review in London. Valproate has been used in the UK since the early 1970s, but it wasn't until last year that a warning was put on the side of packets of the drugs. It is a shocking story. More on that after 7 o'clock. Julie will be joining us in the studio to tell us more about her story and her feelings now that this link has been established. She's going to be joining us live in the studio after 8 o'clock. If it's something that you've got experience of, because from what Julie's been telling us and looking into this story, it's feared that this could be something that is even more widespread than people are saying, then let us know. Our phone number here is 01603 617 321, Norwich 617 321. You can text 81333, starting your message with the word Norfolk. Our main story